Hi, everyone. Welcome. We are going to be talking today about finding your way abroad, first steps with CGIS. So real quick, I wanted to get started with some introductions. My name is Elise Vogel. I am one of the study abroad advisors with the Center for Global and Intercultural Study, also known as CGIS. A fun fact is that I'm actually a CASC alum myself. I did my undergraduate degree here and got my bachelor's in psychology with minors in both CASC and music. And then a couple years later, went on to get my MSW here at the School of Social Work. And I focused on community change and policy and political social work. And specifically, I was a community-based initiatives in Detroit special scholar. So today we're going to be talking about a few things. We're going to introduce CGIS, talk about why we think you should study abroad, how to find the right program, and how to get started with different things like financing programs and other things. There's going to be lots of information today, but there's so much more info out there as well. So please make sure that you are checking out all of the resources available. So what is CGIS? CGIS is, as I mentioned earlier, the Center for Global and Intercultural Study. We are the largest study abroad office on campus, and we are technically underneath Literature, Science, and the Arts, LSA. So primarily, we do serve LSA students, but students from all colleges are eligible to participate in our programs, only for undergraduates, though. We do have programs in over 120 programs in over 45 countries. And some important things to know is that you can go abroad as early as the first summer after your freshman year. A lot of times students don't really have a plan for how they're going to utilize that summer, and a lot of times they'll go home and just work. And while that's not a bad option, you can utilize that summer to start boosting your resume already by choosing to do a study abroad program instead. Another important thing to know is that you can study abroad multiple times, and you can do so without delaying your graduation. There are ways to fulfill degree requirements abroad. We're going to be talking a little bit today about some programs that are great options for fulfilling your CASC minor requirements. So there's definitely options available. And you don't have to know another language to study abroad. So we have a lot of programs in English-speaking countries, but we also have English taught programs in non-English speaking countries as well. So there's plenty of places that you can go where you are still able to get that instruction in your local language. So what is study abroad? Well, let's have some students tell you. Study abroad is the basis for growth, the platform for potential, and the entry to the global sphere. Study abroad is a perfect chance to fulfill credits while gaining invaluable intercultural experience. Every student should try to experience it as there are opportunities for all backgrounds. Study abroad is a chance to discover not only more about the world, but more about yourself. Study abroad is a time to go outside your comfort zone and immerse yourself in a new academic experience, culture, language, and make lifelong connections with people around the world. These are quotes all from students just like you who have done study abroad programs themselves. So we talked about what study abroad is. Now, why should you study abroad? Study abroad offers so many benefits and can help you work towards your goals personally, academically, and professionally. We'll talk a little bit more in detail about some of the benefits in each of these areas, but I also want to point out that you can hear why from your fellow students. We have CGIS blog archives, which are blogs written by students just like you who have studied abroad themselves. If you scan this QR code, it'll take you there. Those blogs are a fantastic resource for students. They give insight into different experiences when it comes to studying abroad. Some of them are, really simple. What were my 10 favorite things I did in Buenos Aires? Or some of them are a lot more serious and identity-based, talking about, how to study abroad with an autoimmune disorder or other things like that. So it's a great resource. Definitely check it out. Getting back to these different benefits, though, Study abroad provides opportunities to academically fulfill your major and minor or distribution requirements. You can gain international perspectives in your area of study. So there's oftentimes certain ideas or uh, perspectives that are done primarily in the US. And if you go abroad, you're able to sort of see how different countries approach the same problem within your field, but from a different way. You can meet world-renowned faculty who are experts in their discipline. You can have classes with them, and oftentimes also potentially do internships, which leads right into that professional stuff. You can network with industry professionals on a global scale, hone on-the-job skills with firsthand work experience in your field, and this can be an awesome boost for your resume for future employers and grad schools, and even just for future opportunities throughout your undergrad career, like, future internships. If you get that experience starting your freshman summer, then going into your junior year, you'll have potentially something that really makes your resume stand out compared to others. And personally, I know it sounds cheesy, but it's really true. You can make lifelong friends with fellow students and other people from new cultures, and you can definitely gain a sense of independence and confidence because you're going to learn how to navigate unfamiliar circumstances and situations, and you'll learn to love to do so. So let's talk about finding the right program for you. There's a lot of different factors to consider. We'll go over some, but there's plenty of others that you can think about. We really encourage you to figure out what the priorities are for you for finding a particular program and to narrow your search in based on there. So some of those things are the academic and campus plans you have. So are you hoping to fulfill certain degree requirements while you're abroad? Are you wanting to gain a certain international perspective while you're abroad? Do you have something going on during a particular term on campus? So when I was an undergrad, I was in the marching band. And so I knew that when I was going to study abroad, I could not study abroad during the fall semester, otherwise I'd miss band. So think about those types of things. Think about your professional and career goals. Are you wanting to have an internship by a certain point in time? Or are you hoping to have research on your resume by a certain time? And are there programs that fulfill those goals that you have? Another thing to consider is the on-site support. So some programs require students to be a little bit more independent and proactive. They have to sort of coordinate a lot of things themselves with the partner institutions that are part of the program. And then there's other programs that are done through providers, which are sort of third-party organizations where all they do is study abroad. And so for those programs, you get a whole extra set of staff that are going to be dedicated to helping coordinate things for you, like your housing and course registrations and other things. And so are you hoping that someone can give you a little bit more guidance? Maybe you're a first-time traveler and that's something that's important to you to have. Another thing oftentimes can be cost. So what's your budget? Are you looking for a program that fulfills certain requirements for a scholarship or other financial aid? Or are you looking for a program that takes place in a country where the cost of living is really low, so your money will go a little farther? Those types of questions can be important. And lastly, identity. And identity is a really big one that I think sometimes students don't always take the time to fully consider, just how much it can impact things. As CASC minors, I think you are all probably aware that the social identities that we hold impact how we're able to navigate through the world. And those can definitely influence how you're able to experience a certain program abroad. Um, so we'll talk more now about those identities. Some things that are really important to consider are disabilities and accommodations. So do you have a particular, mobility issue that you really need to make sure you have certain accommodations for? Are you going to be able to have those in place? You know, you might want to think like, okay, does this place have a lot of accessibility? Different options like that. It can also be for, you know, learning disabilities as well. So is this program going to be able to offer me similar academic accommodations to what I receive on campus? And you can talk with us, these Services for Students with Disabilities office, and the different programs to find out more about what could be the right fit for you. Other things could be like first generation or heritage seeking. So, you know, you're trying to um, connect back to your roots and other things. Another identity consideration is gender roles. So um, are you okay with going to a place that has much more rigid gender roles, certain expectations societally about what women should and should not do? And if you are someone who identifies as a woman, are you going to be okay with that? Not saying that you have to agree with all of it or any of it, but is that going to be something that you're willing to uh, navigate through during your experience? LGBTQ rights is another one. So, is the place you're going safe to be your full out and authentic self, or is it potentially dangerous to do so? And if it is less safe to do so, are you willing to sort of uh, dampen some of that outward expression of things in order to have a cultural experience in other aspects of the program? Things to consider: race and ethnicity is another big one. So, some cultures, uh, your race or ethnicity might make you stand out. If you are a student of color who is studying abroad in South Korea, you may be the first Black person that these residents have ever met. And there may be people who want to come up and take a picture with you or touch your hair. And so, what sort of things are you willing to put up with? What sort of things, you know, is that going to be a deal breaker for you, having to learn to navigate around that? Lots of different things. I'll mention again, the CGIS blog can give a lot of great perspective from different students about what their experiences were like having these different identities. And we also have other resources, including our Identity Abroad and Diversity Handbook and the CGIS briefs. These are all available on our websites, and there's a lot of research and other resources online too about, you know, what it means to study abroad or travel as someone who's queer or a Black student. And so I really encourage you to look into this and do more research. So, fitting study abroad into your degree. Big myth is that studying abroad delays your academic progress, which means that you won't graduate on time. That is not true. In fact, classes you take on programs abroad can often be used towards your degree requirements and keep you right on track for graduation. So there's lots of different options available. So how does this work? What does happen automatically, if you are an LSA student, all courses on CGIS programs, regardless of which program you go on or what courses you take, will come back automatically to U of M and your transcript as in-residence credits. What that means is that they'll show up the same as credits you take on campus here in Ann Arbor. So there's a letter grade. That letter grade gets factored into your GPA, all that good stuff. What does not happen automatically are courses from CGIS programs counting for specific degree requirements. So if you are hoping to fulfill a specific degree requirement, you have to get pre-approval from the academic advisor that that course requirement falls under. So if, for instance, you are trying to get an upper level psych elective, you will need to make sure that you get pre-approval from your psych academic advisor. For CASC stuff, you will want to talk to the CASC academic advisor to make sure that those courses are approved. So If it's a major or minor requirement, you're going to go to your major or minor academic advisor. If it's an LSA distribution requirement, you're going to go to your Noonan LSA academic advisor, so on and so forth. You will want to, provide information for them about the courses you're interested in, and they will see if that course is something that could count towards the specific degree requirement that's part of your degree program. And just to be clear, CGIS advisors, we have no authority to make determinations about anything academic related. So we can't say, oh, this course will come back in as a 400 level or anything. All of that stuff has to go to the academic advisors on campus. So CGIS programs, we have a ton of different kinds. We've got ones that run as long as an academic year or can be a single semester. We have spring, summer options, some that can be as short as 3 weeks, some that can be as long as 9 or more weeks. We have experiential learning opportunities, language requirement ones with research options and internships. There's a ton. We're going to talk about a few specifically highlighted programs that I think are great fits for CASC minors, but please do check out all of our options that we have available. So one particular program I want to spotlight is the Global Course Connections. Global Course Connections, or GCC as we call them, are a unique program structure that's done entirely by U of M. So for these programs, there is 2 components to it. One, you take a on-campus course during the winter semester, and it's a course that anyone could take on campus. Usually they're 3-4 credits, but not necessarily. And you will learn about, the different topics in that course, and then a small portion of the total class who has applied and gotten accepted into the GCC program will then go abroad for 3 to 4 weeks in May into the first week of June, potentially. And they will expand on those topics and ideas you talked about in class, but in a global context and firsthand experience in this international setting. So there's really cool options available. Some of them, focus around different topics like literature, but we also have ones that focus around a lot of social justice topics, including things like reproductive health in Copenhagen, Denmark, global Blackness in Sao Paulo, Brazil. So there's a lot of really cool opportunities attached to this, and it's a great program for if you are looking for a shorter experience, one that offers a very cohesive cohort experience because you go abroad as a group with the professor from U of M. So we highly recommend it for first-time travelers too, though you don't have to be a first-time traveler to be in this program by any means. The applications for this program are due on December 10th. And important to note, there are specific funding opportunities available for this program. We at the CGIS office make sure that these programs are as affordable as possible. So we subsidize the cost of the programs. And there is a specific GCC grant. If you are a Pell Grant recipient and you apply for the LSA Study Abroad Scholarship, then you can have the entire program fee covered for this program. Now, that doesn't include things like your airfare or, cost of like on the ground food and different, things like that, but you can get additional funding from the LSA Study Abroad Scholarship Fund on top of that GCC grant. So it can really make these programs incredibly affordable. Next program I want to talk about is our Global Intercultural Experience for Undergraduates program. This program, known as GIEU, is really unique. It is all about service learning, hands-on, community engagement work. So it's really a firsthand experience and a deep intercultural connection that we hope to build for students in this program instead of spending a bunch of time in the classroom. So how the program works is during the winter semester, students will take a 2 credit online course through U of M. We work with an organization called Amprakash that's developed a curriculum for engaging in global communities. They cover course topics like social justice, intercultural communication and competency, community change, lots of different great things. That's right up CASC students' alleys. So I think it'll be a great fit. Additionally, there is a day-long educational retreat that takes place for the participants in the program. And then students travel abroad for 3 to 4 weeks between May and the first week of June. We have 2 sites that we're offering this year. One is in Sao Paulo, Brazil, which I am the advisor for, and the other is in Zimbabwe and Zambia. So the students on that program will go to locations in both countries. These applications are due on November 1st, so it is one of the soonest applications due for a program that runs during the spring. But it is a really awesome program that I highly encourage you guys to look at. It is so unique because the emphasis is so much on community engagement. During the program, you will work with local nonprofit and community organizations on projects that they have identified to help solve certain community problems. So it could be things like participating in facilitating after-school educational programming for students, or it could be food distribution. There's so many different options. Because of that, the organizations and the exact projects that they want are sort of changing and adapting. So we won't have an exact idea of what you'll be doing until probably within a month or two before your travel. But we work with different providers who have relationships with these nonprofits on the ground, and they do a great job of pairing our students for these projects. Additionally, there is a GIEU grant, so similar to the GCC grant I mentioned. If you are a Pell Grant recipient and you are applying for the LSA Study Abroad Scholarship, you can have the GIEU grant cover the entire program fee, and then still get that additional funding from the LSA Study Abroad Scholarship on top of that. So these are really affordable, great programs for first-time travelers, first-generation students, yeah, just across the board. I'm actually an alum of this program, so I did my own GIEU when I was an undergrad, and I can say it's a really fantastic program. So some other programs I wanted to highlight for CASC minors, particularly that can work towards helping to fulfill your context and diversity learning clusters for the minor, are the Health and Community program. This one is unique because it is a multi-country program. You actually go to 4 different locations in 4 different countries across 4 different continents. And it is a comparative program where you're looking at different understandings around health and well-being and how to administer healthcare and the public health systems and all of that. So students start in Washington, D.C., and then head to Delhi, India, Cape Town, South Africa, and then end in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Another program we have is Health, Culture, and Development in Cape Town. This one runs during the fall and winter semester, and then a similar version of this program, Public Health in Cape Town, runs during the spring summer. They both offer a really unique look at how public health is administered, the different factors that can influence public health, because South Africa has a long history with different racial divides and socioeconomic divides. And so how healthcare is administered in the public sector is very different than the private sector. So students will get the opportunity to do observational rotations to sort of see these things firsthand and really talk about the historical context that goes into a lot of the circumstances that play out today. Another opportunity is social sciences and humanities in Berlin. So there's certain classes that you can take that would be able to count specifically towards these elective clusters. And study in Scandinavia in Copenhagen, Denmark. For any specific courses on these programs or for other courses and program pre-approvals, you're going to want to contact Joseph Galura. He is the CASC academic advisor, so he'll be the one to make those determinations. But these aren't necessarily the only program options that can help fulfill your CASC requirements. These are just some really great ones that I wanted to highlight specifically. So getting started, now we've talked a lot about the different programs we offer. So how do we start digging in and finding which one is the best fit? So what's next? Explore those programs. We encourage you to go on the CGIS website where you can explore programs by region or by major even. So we don't currently have a CASC minor tile, but we are in the process of building one. But if you want to take a look at programs that could fulfill maybe some major requirements that you have, as well as CASC minor ones, you can take a look at some of the options available. It gives a breakdown of sort of the pre-approval process for that major, as well as some programs that are particularly well suited or that students who have been within that major have gone on specifically. So definitely check that out. They will link you to mCompass. mCompass is sort of the university-wide online catalog of study abroad programs. And we'll go into a little bit more detail in a second about how to navigate mCompass, but just know that those two websites, the CGIS website and mCompass, are where you're going to find all your info about our different study abroad offerings. We also encourage you to feel free to schedule an appointment with a CGIS advisor or a peer advisor. And then please know, these are some of our standard deadlines. So for fall and academic year programs, typically the deadline is going to be March 1st. For the winter, it's going to be September 15th. For the spring summer, January 15th or February 1st. GIEU has that unique deadline of November 1st, and GCC programs are December 10th. Please keep in mind for all of our programs, these are the typical deadlines, but each program has its own unique nuances. And so if you are interested in a particular program, you should always double check, never assume that that is the deadline, because some will have earlier ones. For instance, I have programs in my portfolio that for the winter semester, their applications are actually due in August instead of that September 15th deadline. So just make sure you're double checking. We don't want you to miss out on being able to apply. So how to use mCompass. As I mentioned, mCompass is the university-wide catalog for study abroad programs. So there will be programs from all different schools like engineering, kinesiology, lots of stuff. Our programs will always have CGIS in front of them, so make sure you're looking for that. And you can search by our program specifically by going to the search programs drop down here. It'll show a CGIS programs option to click on. There's a number of tabs on each program page that give you a lot of great information. The How to Apply tab will give you info about the eligibility requirements. So if there's a minimum GPA, the application process, what will be required of you. Academics will give you information about the different courses you can take, how many credits you'll be taking on this program, things like that. Finances, you can find the program's budget sheet there. So for each program, the CGIS advisors make a budget sheet that estimates the cost. We try to go into, as much detail as we can about the potential cost of a program. So we'll give, if there's a tuition cost involved, housing. We'll also include the estimated costs for things like your um, travel health insurance that all students at U of M are required to have when studying abroad, the cost of a visa if it's required, any immunizations that you might need to get, things like food or public transportation. So it's a really good resource to sort of get an idea of what the cost of a program would be. And you can use that to sort of talk with the Office of Financial Aid a little bit about the different funds that might be available to you. Dates will give you the program dates, including the program's application deadline, and then the start and end date for the program, because most programs will have different start and end dates than the U of M academic calendar. And then Need to Know will show you information about housing, potential information about things like visas and passports, and details about how to get different accommodations as well. So great resource, lots of information available there for you. So on our website, you can also set up an advising appointment with our peer advisors, which we have listed here. Peer advisors are students just like you who themselves have been on a study abroad program and have insight that they can share about general study abroad things or about their specific programs they've participated in. We have drop-in hours that are available on the website that you can come meet with a peer advisor. And if you scroll down, you can see that we also have the program breakdown for all of the different study abroad advisors. We each have our own portfolio of programs. So for instance, in my portfolio, have all of the UK programs, all the Switzerland programs, one of the GIEU programs, a number. So if you want to get information about a specific program, very detailed, nuanced stuff, you're going to want to talk to the advisor that has that specific program in their portfolio. And you can schedule an appointment by clicking on the button here and set up an advising appointment with us. We have advising appointments year round, even during the summer. So feel free to come chat with us, or you can send us an email as well if you have any specific questions. For financial aid, we do want to just really emphasize, don't let the cost of a program deter you from studying abroad. There are a ton of resources and funding options out there that are available for students. Truly, you will never have the same type of funding opportunities for study abroad as you will at this time in your academic careers. U of M is incredibly blessed to have large pools of funding available for students. So one thing to note is that study abroad advisors do not have access to students' financial information, so we can't pull up your individual circumstances or packages or anything. So you should always consult the Office of Financial Aid if you have specific questions about your own financial aid options, and specifically make sure that you are reaching out to their study abroad team. They have a specific email that's listed here for the study abroad team within the financial aid office, and making sure that you send to that email will ensure that your questions aren't lost in the giant inbox of all of financial aid. Additionally, you can fill out a study abroad estimate worksheet and provide information about the cost of the program that you pull from the budget sheet I mentioned earlier. You can send that over to OFA and they can get back to you with what anticipated aid would probably be available for you for that program. So it can give you an idea of if this program will meet your needs. And then additionally, there are a lot of different departments that will offer academic scholarships as well for study abroad. So some departments have a lot more funds set aside than others. So it makes sense that, you know, the international studies department has a lot of funds set aside for study abroad, but it's never hurts to ask. You know, the worst they say is no, the best they say is, yeah, here's some funding. So that's also a great opportunity. So this is that study abroad estimate worksheet I mentioned. So again, you'll take the info from the budget sheet and enter it in here. And you can get an estimate from OFA about the types of grants or loans that would be available to you for that program. Additionally, the LSA Study Abroad Scholarship is a huge fund of money available for students to study abroad. It is need-based, but of those that apply that are eligible, 95% of students will receive anywhere between $1,000 to $10,000 of aid, depending on their program costs and their particular needs. It is important to note that for the fall or winter term programs, you need to be enrolled in a minimum of the equivalent of 12 U of M credits. And for spring summer, you need to be enrolled in a minimum of 6 U of M credits in order to be eligible for that aid. Please make sure to check out information about the application and the deadlines. And you can reach out with questions to them. They have their own LSA scholarships web email. And we've got lots of other new opportunities that are always popping up for funding as well. Like there's a first gen scholarship that just launched for study abroad. So definitely check out the different options. Again, so many funds available. So don't let the price tag you see on a program stop you from doing your research. There really are options available. So at this point, normally I'd be asking if anyone had any questions. If you do have questions, please feel free to email me or to reach out to any of the other advisors. We highly encourage you to attend our study abroad fair, which will be taking place on October 8th. You can drop into the Michigan Union Ballroom anytime between 12 and 4. It'll be a giant event, basically, indoor festival where every table is talking about different study abroad programs. And it's got a lot of great resources and perspective that you can get from both the advisors of programs, program representatives from different providers, and alums from different programs. So definitely check this out. And then finally, we would love for you to sign up for the CGIS newsletter. You can scan this QR code here to do that. It's a really great resource as well. It gives different program spotlights, reminders about deadlines, which can be really helpful when you get busy in the middle of a semester with midterms and all of that, as well as different scholarship opportunities. So it's, not going to be bombarding your inbox. There's only an update, once or twice a month, but it can be a really good resource as well. So I hope this presentation has been helpful for you. Please feel free to reach out to us at cgis.umich.edu or come visit us in Weiser Hall. We are on the second floor, Suite 200. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I can't wait to see all of you studying abroad. Take care.